Yes, this is Andrew Savage. You're listening to Dispatch Radio.
We have a great guest with us now, running for U.S. Senate in Arizona against John McCain, the senior senator there. We've mentioned her briefly in some of our other shows. Kelli Ward joins us. How are you doing, Dr. Ward?
Hey, I am doing great, Brandon. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the time being on here. You know, it's a big challenge, but I think someone needs to take it on because I, for one, want to change Washington, D.C., and we can't change Washington unless we change the people we send there.
Absolutely. And let's start with just a little bit about yourself. Some folks may not be real familiar with you or your campaign. I know you've worked in the state Senate there, but give people a little bit more insight into who Kelli Ward is.
Sure. Well, me in a nutshell, I'll give you that, the quick version. I am a military wife. My husband and I have been married for 20 years. He's been in the military for 32. I am the mom of 3 awesome kids, Katie, Cameron, and Nick. They are now 18, 20, and 22. Nick's my stepson. I am a family physician. I had a private practice for about 10 years now. I just work in the emergency department in rural Arizona, and I get to see in action policies that are put into effect at the national level and the state level. And I'll tell you that I used to say the good, the bad, and the ugly of those things, but there's pretty much a lot of bad and a lot of ugly. And I am a former Arizona state senator. I stepped down in December from position. I didn't have to. I wasn't required by law, but I've seen too many politicians try to hold on to their title or their parking space or their great office or their great assistant while they're running for another office, and they do a disservice to the people who elected them to do a job. And I didn't want my people in my legislative district to be shortchanged in the representation department. So I stepped down as I was taking on this bigger challenge so that they'd be fully represented. And so that's me in a nutshell, just my brief history.
I wish I had one of those 1970s buzzers, those little dings, bing, 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 of positive reinforcement, especially the stepping down from an office to run for another office. I am not about the federal government or having them intercede in anything, but it almost is to the point now where it's gotten so bad that we almost need to actually have a requirement. If you're going to run for a federal office, you have to resign because people are just, like you say, doing a disservice. 18 months of campaigning or possibly longer, and it's horrible. And you have a tough road. It is a sitting senior senator there, John McCain, a long track record, a strong reputation with many of his supporters. But tell us a little bit about the situation in Arizona, what the rallies are like, who is saying what to you, and where you think that's headed.
Right. Well, it has been, it's been difficult, but it's also been exhilarating, I will tell you, because no matter where I go within the whole state of Arizona and really across the whole country, people are ready for that change. And I will tell you that 34 years in Washington, D.C. have changed Senator McCain. If it weren't the case, I wouldn't be taking this challenge on. And unfortunately, while I have all the respect in the world for him and his service to our country and what he went through as a POW, he simply is not the conservative he claims to be, especially during campaign time. His record is one of voting for tax hikes and bailouts and massive new spending. He's been there for 17.5 trillion of the over almost $20 trillion that we have in debt. He voted for amnesty. He voted for liberal judges. He's mocked the very conservatives who wanted to do everything in their power to stop Obamacare, calling Senator Paul and Senator Lee and Senator Cruz wacko birds. Yes. He supports policies that bend the Constitution. I am not willing to bend the Constitution. Just so you know, I am a strict constructionist. I believe that the Constitution says what it says and doesn't say what it doesn't say, just like Justice Scalia. And whenever I see him allowing policies in that will violate our Fourth Amendment rights to privacy in the name of increased safety, it appalls me. I want to get information, obviously, that will keep our country safe and protect American citizens. However, I think that we have to find a constitutional way to do that. He's attacked our Second Amendment, joining with the Democrats time and time again to infringe upon our rights to keep and bear arms. The list just goes on and on and on as to why people are angry, why people are upset, why they're disappointed, why they're disgusted with what's happening inside the Beltway. And that's trickled to me, and I think that I'll be able to ride that wave into a victory in August in the primary and then again in the general.
We're talking with U.S. Senate candidate Kelli Ward and discussing the challenge of facing John McCain and his seats coming up for election in November. And Kelli, I need to shift gears just a tad because, I'm going to do a segment coming up here on election by the numbers, talking about, the Cruz chances and where we're at with the Trump campaign getting enough delegates for the convention, that kind of thing. And let's just assume someone like Trump is at the top of this ticket. How is the landscape in Arizona? Obviously, he's tried to make immigration this big hot topic, even with contradictory statements at times what he actually may or may not do. But I know that really resonated with Arizona voters. That showed in the primary. He did very well there. Is that what you're hearing now, that immigration has really floated to the top for folks there, or is it still just kind of a balance of an anti-establishment thing? What do you think some of the buzz is coming out of Arizona?
Right. Well, I think that the immigration issue definitely is still a hot-button issue in Arizona and really across the country, because we see that illegal immigration and our open border have taken a toll on every aspect of society, from healthcare to education to public safety to corrections to the economy. So all of those things are important to different aspects of, or different segments of the electorate, whether it's healthcare is the number one issue or the economy is the number one issue. But they all realize that this illegal immigration problem has affected every single aspect of that. So it still is a huge hot-button issue here in Arizona. And I think that the one thing that Trump and Cruz supporters together can agree on, if they can't agree on anything else, is that we have to change Washington. We have to change the status quo. And to me, that's great for me, because both entities, both camps, want to get rid of Senator McCain, and so it's really been great for me. No matter who's at the top of the ticket, Trump or Cruz, I think that it's going to be put our country back on the right track.
Let me get to a couple things before we head to break here. I know, obviously, President Obama quickly came up with a Supreme Court justice nominee after the passing of Justice Scalia. And would you want to go through a confirmation hearing? Where do you stand on Merrick and his credentials as well?
Right, absolutely not. I just think that needs to be left to the next president who comes into office to appoint that person, and I hope that the next president will appoint a strict constructionist like Scalia was. I don't think that Gardner is such a person. Now, we have to look at the history, because guess what? John McCain joined with 7 Republicans to go with the Democrats to put him on the D.C. circuit. And that's one of the liberal judges that he has advanced his career to the point that now he's up to potentially be on the Supreme Court. And so we've got to have people who are looking at all levels of the justice system and those judiciary appointees to make sure that we are getting people who are constitutional, not people who think that we should be interpreting the Constitution, that it's a living document, that it's outdated, that we need to get rid of some of those rights. That document has stood the test of time and has made us the exceptional nation that we are. And when we have judges that are engaging in judicial activism, it's dangerous for our country, and it's dangerous for our rights, and it's dangerous for our future. And so I definitely think that we should hold off on any kind of hearing at this point and let the next president appoint the next justice to the Supreme Court. And as conservatives, fight hard to make sure that we have a conservative president that's going to do just that.
Kelli Ward, folks, she spells her name with an I, so it's Kelli Ward, KelliWard.com, and it's at Kelli Ward AZ. If you want to follow her as well, we'll put those links up to the attachment on this. We're going to come back. We're going to ask her some more questions. They're actually at the bottom of her Wikipedia page, all these alleged controversies, which is very interesting because I don't find them controversial at all. I agree with her 100%, as I believe many of you will that are listening to our show. So enjoy that. Check right back with us.